Hi, welcome back and thanks for joining me today. This is Jana with Purple Girl Crafts. Today we're going to make this fun fold card. This card is a flap card. It does lay flat for shipping. And on the very bottom, as you can see, there's a little arrow. So when you pull this little flap, the card will flip open. And this says let's hang out, and it's got a little monkey hanging from there. This card requires no die cuts. It's pretty easy, so let's get started. We have our scoreboard, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our base piece, and this will be cut at 5 by 7. Our next piece is going to be cut at 6 1/4 by 4 3/4, and this will be the top layer of the card. So this is where I'm having the pattern paper. Then we need one piece, and this is going to be cut at 7 1/2 by 4 3/4. We're going to turn this back on the 7 1/2 inch side, and we are going to score this at 3 1/2. This is not being scored evenly in the middle. You want a little flap on the bottom. So as I fold this, I'm going to fold it with a pattern paper on the inside, and then you've got that little flap sticking out of the green. So that's what you should have. So we're done with our scoreboard. That's all the cuts that we need for this card. So next we're going to work on the base of the card. Now for the top layer, this is the piece of paper for the top of the card. We're going to fold this in half. We could have scored this in half, but I'm doing this separately because we folded that other piece of paper differently. So this will be the top of the card. So we're going to take that green floral paper. I'm just going to crease out that fold again, and we're going to glue this top piece. We're going to glue it to the smaller section. So I'm going to take glue, and I'm just going to put glue on one side of this piece of paper. It doesn't matter which side. If you've got a pattern directional, you want to make sure it's on the bottom. But this paper can be turned either way on this one. So I'm just going to put it on 1/2. And then again, I'm going to glue it to the smaller section. I'm going to make sure it's lined up. And then you see I still have that green showing on the bottom. Then I'm just folding this open so that I can crease out that glue. So you should have that. That's the bottom piece. And again, I'm just making sure it's lined up. And then when I fold that flap closed, and then when we pull it open, this is what you should have. So next, we're going to glue this piece down to the base of the card. But before we do that, I'm going to grab some ribbon, and I'm going to put a piece of ribbon across the top. We could have even taken the green paper and put a strip on the top, which would have looked pretty nice too. So I'm just measuring. I didn't measure this. I'm just pulling out a piece that's going to be long enough to wrap around. I'm going to glue it to the back side so it doesn't have to go all the way around. And then I'm going to pull out one extra piece and cut it, and that'll just be for the front. I'm just going to tie like a little knot on the front. So I'm going to take the ribbon. I'm going to secure it to the top piece. So I'm just going to lay it down, flip the card over, and then I'm just going to glue this down. Again, the whole top section is going to get glued to the base of the card, so you don't need to secure this fully because we're going to put more glue on here in a minute. I just want to make sure that it's secure. And then I'll line up that other side and then just press that down. Now I'm just making sure it's lined up. And then I'm just going to tie a knot in this ribbon. I'm just going to do it on the left-hand side of the corner. I just don't want to tie it too tight so that it doesn't make the card bow on me. And again, I'm just making sure it's lined up. And then I'm just going to cut those extra pieces off. And I'm just going to cut them straight. You could do a normal ribbon and cut them. Okay, so next what we're going to do is we're going to work on gluing this piece down. So I'm going to grab my ruler because we don't want to glue the entire section down. We want to go about a 1/2 inch in from the fold. And I'm just going to draw a line so you can see it. And we're just going to put glue on this top section, so not here. So no glue in this area, just on this side. So I'm going to apply glue up to that line that I drew, and then to the top edge, and then over that ribbon again. And then we'll secure this piece down to the top, to the base of the card. So you're going to make sure it's lined up, your border all the way around, and just go ahead and push that down. Taking my bone folder, and I'll go ahead and push that glue out. And the reason why I use my bone folder a lot is because I've had where I haven't pushed it down, and then a couple months later I'll go buy it and the glue has not secured. So you just want to make sure it's lined up, and then let that dry. So while that's drying, we're going to work on the inside of the card. So I have this "Let's Hang Out" sign that we're going to put on the top. And then I have this cute, adorable monkey that I drew, and I'm going to have him hanging from a branch. So I have 2 branches. I'm going to put one with the monkey and then one with the sign. And I don't know if you can see, but I cut his hand, not all the way through. I just cut it just so I could put the branch through his hand. So I'm just playing with this to see which way I want it. And it looks like the right side was, or the left side was better. So I'm going to put him on the card, and I'm going to have him hanging at an angle. So I'm just going to glue him down. And if you make this card, you want to pay attention to how far he's hanging down. I'll show you that he's hanging down too low, so his feet hang out of the card. And I'll show you how I remedied that in a minute. So I'm just going to glue him to there. And then on the top side, I'm going to glue the "Let's Hang Out." And I'm going to glue the branch next to it too. So I think I'm just kind of playing with it just to see how I want it. So I decided that I was going to glue the branch down first. And I'm just putting it at an angle again. And then I'm going to put the sign just on top of the branch. So we're going to glue the back side to the front side. And this stamp set is from Stamps of Life. It was one of their doggy stamps. I'll put that in the comment section. So just going to glue that together, and then I'm just going to glue this piece just so it doesn't hang over the edge of the card and just sits right there. So that's the inside of the card. So now as you can see, when I close the card, I realized that his feet were hanging out over the edge. And I did not like that, so I actually have another monkey that's just in a little bit different position. He's scratching his head, and I'm going to glue him right on top of there. And that'll just be an extra character on the card. So I'm just going to take my glue. And I'm just going to glue all over him, and then I'm just going to put him down. Now don't put glue on his feet like I'm going to do in a second, because you don't want glue there. So I'm just lining up his feet. I'm making sure I don't push them down because I don't want them to glue to the bottom piece. And then I'm just going to push him down. And then I'll just wipe off that excess glue. So this is the card so far. I like the 2 monkeys on there because it looks like he's changing position. So on the back, I'm going to put an extra piece, and I'm just going to take a piece of white paper. I'm going to use some ink up the edges, and then I'm just going to glue it down. You could do a light tan color, you could do a different color. I just needed, the card needs another piece of paper just to make it just a little bit more sturdy. So I'm just making sure this is centered, and this is a piece of paper that is 6 3/4 by 4 3/4. That just gives the card just a little bit more stability. So that's the card so far. So the last thing that we're going to do is I'm going to cut out an arrow. So I have this little arrow, and I cut it out of the same color as the back piece of the card. And then I'm just going to glue it. Let me just put it so you can see it. So it's just a tiny little arrow. And I'm going to glue it to the bottom of the card, and we're just going to put it right in the center, and we're going to put it on that green flap. Because if I did it on the white, it would have really showed up better. Okay, so I'm just going to line this up, making sure it's in the middle. And there you go. So it's just a little tiny arrow just to show what to do with the card. I hope you enjoyed making this fun fold card with me. Again, it's pretty easy. It doesn't take a lot. I use a lot of scrap paper for this. I want to thank you for joining me. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Until next time, happy crafting, and I hope to see you real soon. Bye-bye.